This is Abnormal Entertainment.
My eyes are open wide. By the way, I made it through the day. I watched the world outside. By the way, I'm leaving out today. I just saw Haley's comments your way. Said, why you always running in place? Even the man in the moon disappeared. Somewhere in the stratosphere.
Hey everybody, this is Daniel Garza. Welcome to another episode of Put It Together. I'd like to start thanking my producer, Mr. Kevin Moyers, for all his help. Thank you, sir. Inviting everybody to join us at abnormalentertainment.com, where you can find my show and all the other shows on the network. Go check that out. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. My handle is at Little Mexican, LILMASICAN. Go check that out. You'll find pictures of me, information on my guest, invitations to different events. Go check it out. You'll enjoy it. This morning, I'm excited to have Ray Davis on the show. She is the producer of the film Turnover. And I actually started this morning off by calling her a wrong name, so we corrected that. Good morning, Ray. How you doing?
Good morning, Daniel. I'm doing great. How's it going?
It's going good. So I'm excited to have you on the show. We try to organize this early in the mornings.
Right.
You're up in Northern California?
Yes, correct. Yeah, up in the Sierras, like not too far from Yosemite and Tahoe, kind of in between.
All right. How's it up there this morning?
Beautiful, actually. We're finally having some cool mornings. It's great.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get you going. Tell us how you put it together.
Okay, well, just a quick background. Film was nothing that was ever on my radar in my life. I've done a lot of things, but producing films wasn't part of that until actually several years ago when, of all things, a failed attempt at getting a film done actually threw me into what I'm doing now. And that's a good thing. There was an upside to that for sure. And I met director Linda Palmer during a release of a short film that she did called Our Father, and it tackled the very difficult subject of Alzheimer's. And it actually was it was a film about her experience with her estranged father. And actor Michael Gross, as you probably remember from Family Ties, he played Steve Keaton. Well, Michael is the star of that film, and he did just an incredible job. Well, when I went down to the premiere at Raleigh Studios, I was so taken by the body of work. And Linda and I had been talking back and forth online before this, and we were forming our friendship over our love of Halloween, which we'll get into in a little bit. But that we began a dialogue about film, and she says, I'm directing a full-length feature. Actually, Michael Gross will be in as well, called Last Call at Murray's. And she said, I'd like you to read the script and tell me what you think. Now, she didn't write this particular script, but she was directing the film. So took a look at the script and loved it. It's a full-length feature comedy. And I was just going to start out doing some product placement for the film, and it ended up that I ended up executive producing it. And it's in distribution now, as a matter of fact, and John Savage is in it as well. And so we have that out in distribution. Our Father's out in distribution. And then the opportunity to do a web series came up. And so producer Amanda Serra created this web series called Carbon Dating. And it's all about middle-aged dating in a youth-oriented society. And it's hysterical. And it, is like 5 to 8 minute clips, for the series, and it's done really well. And you can find that on YouTube right now. And again, Michael Gross was a part of that. So I worked with him 3 different times, and now we're getting ready to get Turnover started. So again, working with director Linda Palmer, and this time she wrote this script.
Okay, cool. Wow. So it's always interesting how the universe just kind of puts you on a path
Yeah.
that you had no idea you were ever going to be part of.
Exactly. No idea. Like I say, I've done a lot of things, but this was not something that I really had ever thought of.
What were you doing prior to all this?
Well, actually, I'm a floral designer by trade. I owned a flower shop with my mom from 1990 to 2001. When I sold the shop, I was kind of going through a lot of burnout by that time, and my mom had gone back into real estate, and so my kids were still young. My husband and I were like two ships passing in the night because he was traveling a lot. So decided to sell the shop and pretty much proclaimed to everyone that would listen that I was burnt out, done, had it with the floral industry. And lo and behold, 2 months later, I was working for my competitor.
Wow.
Yeah, because I couldn't stay out of it, I guess. And to this day, I'm actually still working for her, just part-time. It keeps me in the arts in that, respect, hands-on arts. And I grew up with an artist mother, so it's been in our household forever. And on top of that, I own a Halloween business. So yeah, it's,
What?
it's a crazy thing. I own a Halloween business called Calaveras Coffin Company. And we do make handcrafted coffins, decorative, mind you, not for real. And I've been asked that question. Are these for people? No, this is decorative. And we have an online business with that. And by the way, going back to that love of Halloween between Linda and I, we do a radio show out of LA called Bat Chat. We record 8 episodes at a time, and it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm pretty eclectic.
Wow. I don't even know where to go now in the conversation. Before we go into other subjects, let's talk about the film just a little bit more.
Yes.
It's in pre-production.
Yeah, pre-production, right. We have some offers out right now with our casting director for our actors that we're looking at the moment. And Turnover is a really special film, and we like to say that it embraces inclusiveness and acceptance and what it means to be a family. Because not all families are blood. They're created out of circumstance. And that's what happens in this film. And it's a foodie film, which I think people will really love, but it's more than that. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of characters in this film who have a story. And our main character, Peter, is basically at this point, he's 60 years old. He's burnt out from the restaurant business. He's going through a divorce he doesn't want. And he has a young, aspiring business partner, Henry, who has aspirations to franchise. Without giving the entire film away, Henry kind of sticks it to Peter in the film because Peter gets some news from his doctor that if he doesn't slow down, he's not going to see his young son grow up. And so in the middle of negotiations with possible investors for the franchising, Peter flies the coop and takes a sailboat out. And there's some other things that happen with his ex-wife between she and his business partner, Henry, that basically causes Henry to say, you know what, I'm done. I've had enough of you. What's going on? And so what happens is Henry, while Peter's gone, fires the entire staff, takes a job next door at a Mediterranean restaurant. He hires a bunch of misfits to run the restaurant. So I'll give you a little background of what these people have. So we're going to have a 15-year-old waitress that's tattooed, fierce, pretty much no experience whatsoever. We have a Latino, Miguel, who has just recently been released from prison and will come in to be the head chef. His character, I gotta tell you, is one of my favorites. Talk about a lot of layers with Miguel character. And then he hires an 80 plus something year old woman to be the head waitress who hasn't, in 30, 40 years. He hires a young African American, black kid who, is also proven to be gay, but can't come out because his parents expect something else from him, right? And so, they're not going to be behind this move. And then we have a Down syndrome, actor that will play the role of Charlie. And, the wonderful thing about this, Charlie will be the busboy. Because of that, we're going to bring in about 20 to 30, Down syndrome, people, extras for the film, because Charlie belongs to this wonderful group home that helps place people in work environments and things that help them with leading an independent life. So we have a wonderful, diverse, cast. And I'm pretty sure right now audience are looking for an uplifting, inspiring film at the moment. I think the time is right.
That sounds pretty amazing. My next question is, where can I send my resume and my headshot and my reel? Because that sounds like an amazing film to be part of.
It is going to be amazing. It's going to be totally amazing. And of course you can send it to me. There's a lot going on here, and I think that I really think people are going to resonate with this film. And all in all, when it comes down to it, and in the end with all of this, there is a family that forms here, and it teaches not only the character of Peter how to be more accepting, tolerant, but I think everyone's going to get that message out of here.
And that's such people, I learned this being gay early on, that you have I love my family, but when you start moving around a little bit, finding yourself, you create this family. And then it's so true living in California, because I don't have family out here. Well, I have a cousin that I've actually never met, but you start forming, we're all imports from other places, and you start developing your families, and you get to choose who's part of your family, which is a beautiful thing to have.
Right. Yeah.
Talking about family and then transitioning a little into you, how does that resonate with you? How does that work for you? The building your own family.
Well, I grew up with a great family, which is wonderful to say, but also have a lot of friends and other outside family members that did not. And they luckily were able to form their own, what they call their families, through their friends. So many people today are not being accepted by just the way they look, or not wanted, society doesn't want to give people a second chance. The great thing about the Miguel character is he is all about that. He is all about that second chance in life. And I think that while I've experienced that in my own life, in seeing my own family give people second chances, I think that was another reason why this script resonated so much with me, because I don't think we do that enough, I really don't.
What message, well, we kind of talked about that, but I want to go a little deeper. If personally, what message do you want to give out in this new production?
I want to give out the message that we need to be more accepting. We need to consider people from all walks of life, no matter who they are, what they want to be, what they think they want to be. I think that inclusion is something that we don't have enough of. We don't give enough people chances. And I think that that's the message that I take home, that also that family may not be your blood relatives. It happens. Not everyone has a close family. And I think that it's a wonderful message that that family can be found in a group of people maybe you never even considered, because maybe you never gave them a second chance, or maybe you judged them by appearance alone.
Was there a time in your life when you were given a second chance?
Pretty much not me personally. I wouldn't say, except for the fact that for many years I endured a very bad marriage, not to my wonderful husband Mark today, who I to nearly 18 years, but a previous marriage. I endured a lot of mental and verbal abuse for a long time. And it was something that I was ashamed to ever put out there, that it was happening. My own family didn't know it, and I kept it to myself. And, in a way, I think that some of these characters, kind of have that story, but in a different way, for a different reason in their life. That, for whatever reason, they've had to endure some pretty rough things, to get to where they end up, finally getting in their life. And sometimes it's just the way life is, sometimes.
And what's your opinion on this point? Because we're talking about abuse, and we live in such a we're a social media world now, let's face it. As much as people want to go back to a simpler life,
we can't.
I mean, here we are this morning talking hundreds of miles away on our computers. We wouldn't be able to do this. Because you mentioned that this movie comes out in a time when we need something uplifting and lighthearted. What's your opinion on people? We all go through some verbal or psychological beat up every day. The moment you log into your Facebook or your phone, you are bombarded with negative remarks on stereotypes or people or places. Or what do you think about all that?
Well, and social media is a wonderful thing on so many levels. We all know that. It's wonderful, like what you and I are doing right now, how we can connect with people all over the world without actually having to be in the same room, which of course has its cons and its pros as well, because even though we're more connected now, we're actually more disconnected, I think, as a society, because we are no longer actually having that more personal touch. Even a phone call doesn't happen often anymore. I don't know about you, but honestly, there are very few people in my circle of friends that I talk to on the phone anymore, because it's so much social media. And you're right about the verbal beatings that people take. It's happened to me over our recent elections. Someone sent me a very nasty letter in the mail because of it was terrible. And I think I know who it was, and I got rid of those people in my life, if I'm right. But they were cowards, and they didn't come out to say who they were, but they sure had an opinion. So I mean, I've been attacked pretty good for my own political stance and social stance on things. But it doesn't deter me whatsoever. But I see it. I see it every morning that I turn my computer on, and I know you do too. Mm-hmm. And that it's an all-out verbal assault. I don't know how we deal with that going forward. I don't know whether it comes down to, do we get a thick skin? Do we just, I don't know, cut these people out of our lives? But sadly, we even have these battles with some of our friends and family. I mean, it happens. And you try to hold on and go, okay, I know we can have differing opinions and that, but it makes it harder. I'm sure I don't know, I don't think you're as old as I am, definitely not. But I lived through a time where, this of course was completely unheard of, and the only contact you did have was either face to face or on the phone. And I think when people can't hide behind a keyboard or a phone, I think you're less likely to have those confrontations like that. It's very easy to sit behind a keyboard and not look at someone in the eye.
Yeah, I'll admit to this because I think only my boyfriend knows this. When I was going through cancer treatment, I would be up all night because I'd sleep all day.
Right.
And I would be on my phone at 3 o'clock in the morning having arguments with people.
Yeah.
And then once I got better and got back on screen, and I was like, okay, let's tone it down now. So I can't be a hypocrite and say, no, the computer.
Me either.
It definitely, the keyboard does give you that extra power to say whatever you want.
Absolutely.
But I heard this from, actually from Oprah Winfrey years ago, where when you put a microphone in front of you, it comes with some responsibility and you've got to be aware. And having a show that's called Put It Together, I can't be part of something that's tearing people apart. So I stopped doing that. I'm confessing now. I don't go on fighting threads anymore. I've avoided that. Another detail that I find interesting about the script and the production is working with people with Down syndrome. Especially there is, and I just now, the switch went off. There's this show, Born This Way. On TLC, I believe, which has put a big spotlight on the Down syndrome community. And in fact, that show is filmed here in LA. And I've been by there, which if they're listening, I would love to have y'all on my show. How important was it to have that in the script?
Well, Linda wrote the script several years ago, and I know that I don't know if she had a personal connection to someone with Down syndrome. I have. Grew up with actually my best friend's sister's oldest daughter was born with Down syndrome. And also my dad used to work with what's called up here the WATCH program. And you know, that's giving people with certain mental and physical challenges jobs that they can do. And many do have Down syndrome, many. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that Down syndrome comes in varying degrees of it. I think there's a misconception where people believe that it's all the same, and it's certainly not all the same at all. There are many, many people with Down syndrome living complete independent lives. They're holding down jobs, and some have families. So it's not what people think that it is. And, you know, basically it comes down with, they were born with an extra chromosome. I mean, that's what Down syndrome is. It is the most common, birth, and I hate to call it birth defect, but that term is still used. It is the most common, of any at birth. But you know, I think it was really important to us because that was another thing we talked about, is shedding the light on people that do have this, that are born this way, that yes, they are productive members of society. And I think what's really compelling about Down syndrome compared to maybe some other mental challenges that people have, no matter what that might be, is that, as everyone knows, Down syndrome is, it's visible. It's visible. I mean, you can and know because of the features that are shared with people that they are very much the same. There are certain things on a person's face that they all share in common with that you can tell, which kind of, again, adds to the script of, don't judge a book by its cover, you know? So we can look at the character of Miguel, who again is out of prison, and he is tattooed up the wazoo, and he looks like a very rough character. He looks like an ex-con, right? Okay. So what people would think of what an ex-con maybe in their minds might look like. And, the role of Pepper, the young waitress, well, she's tattooed and pierced and, she's a young, crazy 15-year-old girl out there. And then having Charlie, the character, again, everything that you can actually visualize and look at and go, oh, and maybe have that spark of, and then having the young black kid, manager and where people would walk in, because this is the thing. The Henry character believes that just by first sight that this group of people are going to ruin that business. They're going to ruin it. Yeah. So that just all ties together.
There's so many details that you guys are touching on, from physical differences to emotional differences.
Lifestyle.
Now let's talk about the main character, ageism.
Yes.
People don't really think it's a thing, but I'm 46 and I'm already experiencing some of it. And I'll just say it. I already have my AARP card. So I'm ready to go whenever time comes.
Shocking when that showed up, wasn't it?
I was like, what?
Yeah, wait a minute.
That being, because it's the central part of the story, correct?
Yes.
How is that important to you?
Well, I guess for me personally, I'm 56, so I've got 10 years on you. And thankfully, I guess I'm not on the other side of the camera. Well, I think everyone will be thankful I'm not on the other side of the camera. My acting skills aren't terrific. But, because I think at this point in life, as Peter's character is that 60-ish, right, character, and that we all hear about the midlife crisis for men. And, there are midlife crises for women as well. I mean, it's not mutually exclusive, correct? So, I think once you get past a certain age, I think that we all begin to feel a little like Peter does. We've got one foot in the fact that we're not ready to be called old. And we've got one foot in the age of, we need to be responsible because we are older adults and we probably are the AARP card carrying members of society. And so Peter is caught in that exact thing. He's found himself in a place he doesn't want to be, which a lot of people find themselves in a place they don't want to be. On top of it, he knows he's getting older. He also knows he can't keep up like he used to. Okay. But he feeds off the youth of society. And so he's still living that life in his head anyway, or wanting to keep up with what he thinks it's all about to be, youthful, driving a hot car, having a younger wife, having the young son, having the younger business partner that keeps him motivated, but he's in terrible physical condition. And I know, in life, this is another thing that catches up with a lot of people, is that mentally they may still be back there 20 years before, but their body's telling them, hey, you've abused me for quite a long time. And the character Peter is a chain smoker and it's catching up to him. He has not taken good care of himself. He's just not healthy. And so I think that we're all to that age or getting to that age where we start thinking about that more. And I know, Daniel, with your health crisis that you've gone through, and thank you, by the way, for chronicling that the way you did. It was very difficult to watch you go through that, but I know I really appreciated it because I lost my mom to colon cancer, and I'm so glad that you did what you did, because even if one person out there learned something from you and you saved their life, it was all worth it. So I just want to make sure that I thank you for that, because it meant a lot to me going through that with my mom and then watching you be proactive and doing what you're doing. So wanted to get that in to you.
Thank you so much for watching it, and thank you.
I followed you the whole time.
You just got me all tingly. Thank you.
So I think that you have a sense probably in what you've been through in your life with that you could probably see where the Peter character might be, vacillating between the two lives and the realization that he needs to do something.
Yeah, there's, as you were explaining the main character, I was thinking, and my audience knows about the cancer and everything I've been through. God bless, I'm well now.
Yes.
Something that alters your life in a dramatic way when you're not expecting it. Say, for instance, your character gets this divorce notice. I got my cancer notice, and all of a sudden people are telling you, your life's about to change,
Right.
whether you want it or not.
Exactly.
And you do get thrown back. A lot of my career choices and life choices have changed dramatically after my cancer journey.
Right.
And some of them I'm happy with. Some of them I'm scared of.
Sure.
But you do come to a realization that you were burned out a little bit on life and going,
Sure.
what I was doing was not that it wasn't good enough. It's just, I could have given it a little bit more.
Right.
And it's like making a cake and having, and trying to decide between frosting and sprinkles.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute. I can put the frosting and then the sprinkles.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, throughout this film, Peter's got a lot of choices to make. He has a lot of choices he needs to make to decide how he's going to carry on the rest of his life. And he's got to come to the realization of actually what's most important to him. And I think that, I can't give away the film, but there is something that does more drastically happen to Peter in this film that really kind of shapes, what his life's going to look like going forward, for sure. Yeah.
Where do you see you going forward?
Because I've led such an eclectic life and still live one, I always say it's the Gemini in me. And that I'm someone who, I went back to school when I was 40 years old and graduated with my bachelor's degree at the top of my class at Sacramento State at 45 years old. And went on to do my master's, but ended up not finishing because of the long commute I had. And that's a whole nother story for another day. That's not, pertinent to this interview. But it's part of my life that I continue to have to learn something new. And I've been this way since I was a kid. I've done a lot of weird things. I've been everything from a barrel racer in my younger years with my horse and rodeos to, today I still lecture on Civil War medicine and amputation procedures. That's another odd thing that I do, which people go, what? But I do. That's me though. So being a floral designer, owning a Halloween business, being a film producer, it's just part of, I guess, my fabric. So I don't think I could tell you where the next stage goes because I never know. Yeah. I just don't. And I kind of like it that way because something new always pops up and I go, oh, well, let's give that a shot.
We have that in common. I post cancer. It's like, hey, this is going on. I want to learn that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, but let's learn.
Sure.
And, video editing and taking videos is my latest thing.
Nice.
I'm all into taking small videos and making little ads for friends and have the programs but I'll say this for me, it took, because when I was diagnosed with AIDS back in 2000, I was a drug addict, an alcoholic. I didn't really process the change in life, but cancer, being clean and sober and present in my life, gave me that foundation that I needed to be adventurous and fearless, which I wasn't before. where do you get your fearlessness?
Oh boy, I think that I can definitely attribute it to, thankfully, parents who were, well, they were pretty much supportive in anything that I wanted to do, because they kind of lived their life like that. They were people that were pretty fearless in their lives. Sometimes they were successful and sometimes they weren't. There had been a lot of ups and downs in their life. There were a time where they, and I'm not ashamed to say it, they had money and then had to file bankruptcy because something bad happened, in that. Nothing that they ever wanted to have happen or saw happening, but it did. It's life. It happens. Then medical tragedies happened and that put them again in a really dire spot in their lives. But they were never really afraid to give something a shot. I'm also married to a man who also is never afraid to tackle anything. And so while 17 years of my life, of adult life, was just the opposite of that, was married to someone who had absolutely no support in him whatsoever, no, wanting to see someone else succeed. In my husband now that I've been with, like I say, for almost 18 years married, he's nothing but that for everyone in his life. He is someone who is supportive, and nothing gives him more joy than to see people succeed. And that's true with my kids, who are very close to him, and myself. And so in this stage of my life, Mark has given me those wings to be able to pretty much tackle anything I want to and be supportive in everything I do.
That's so beautiful. I think I would get along with him very well.
Oh, you would.
I've been involved in a lot of big projects in my life where you were I was pretty much there to guide other people.
Right.
And there was always somebody behind me going, what's in it for you?
Yeah.
Why are you not getting paid for this? Or why you're not getting the credit? And I always said, I will.
Yeah, you will.
In due time. Like not here, but somewhere. I will get it. And God is good and the universe has a great path for me. And surely enough, things come around and all of a sudden somebody says, hey, I've been watching you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something for you. And those are like, oh, well, thank you. And there it is. There it is.
Well, what you put out, you often get in return.
Yep. Big believer of that.
You really do. And you're right. You may not see it today. You may not see it tomorrow. Somewhere along the way, though, you are going to see that. And it comes in so many different forms. And your life very much is kind of a mirror image of our film in second chances in your life, whether it had been, what you've gone through, like you said, with drugs and alcohol years ago, and then, the result, one of them, possibly the result of that, and then your cancer. And so you yourself have gone through metamorphosis in your life for things that took you there.
Yeah. No, I'm always amazed that my family would talk to me after who I was. And people 10 years clean and sober now, people who know me in California when I talk to them about the stuff that I did, they were like, that's not you. I'm like, well, not anymore, but it's still in there somewhere.
Sure. Well, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are 35 years clean and sober.
Yay.
And he had to go through, a lot of stuff to get him there, including he too, a time in prison as well. And so, but their lives, so what they did in turn, they got their lives on track. They opened up houses for people in need, halfway houses for people to come and get back on their feet. And that's how they've given back in their life. So we're very, very proud of them as well. And so, can't say anything more. I mean, they've just really have been terrific examples of what we'd all like to be in life.
There's another interesting guest for Put It Together. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at 45 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
This is about the time in my show. Tradition is that my guests send out some words of wisdom to the audience. What words of wisdom do you have for the folks listening?
Well, I think words of wisdom in my life is never give up. Never give up on a dream that you may have. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. And try to surround yourself with supporting, loving people. Life is far too short to spend your time worrying about those that want to tear you down. Leave that behind. It's not going to serve you well now, and it's not going to serve you well in the future. And do all you can to support the people in your life that need help from you. I think that it's a two-way street in this world, and there's a lot of give and take. But you'll come out okay. Try to be the best person you can be, and just keep moving along, because I'll tell you, it goes by fast. And I got to tell you this one last thing, because it is funny, that my dad used to say, and I always said we should have T-shirts made like for this. Life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. And it is completely true when you stop to think about that in your life. And it's so true that I even said it at his memorial service to lighten the mood. And I think I'll leave your audience with that.
Now, before we go, there is a link for
Turnover.
Yeah. Can you give us all that information, please?
Yeah, you can go to our website, turnovermovie.com, and check out the website. You can see what we're doing on there, kind of the ideal cast we have in mind. And right now we are on Indiegogo. Okay, so look for Turnover, the movie, on Indiegogo. And we have some great perks on there. We could really use everyone's help. Right now we're raising seed money for casting. So we're running that. I think we have about 17 days left on that campaign, and we're looking for investors too. And if anyone's interested, they can check that out on the website. And then also, if anyone wants to talk to me, they can always find me on Facebook at Ray Davis. Just send me a message so I know it's not just, a spam out there for someone. Send me a message why you're contacting me. And then you can also find me on my Gmail at Ray Davis, and Ray is R-A-E, Ray Davis 1099 at gmail.com.
Cool. So we'll make sure to put all that information on the Put It Together Facebook page for everybody listening. You can go there and check it out. Let me see, what was the last thing I had? Some of the other films that are out there. Where can we find them?
Oh, yeah. Last Call at Murray's actually is a full-length feature, R-rated comedy, and you can find that right now on Amazon TV. You can find it at Vudu, and you can also find it at iTunes. And then Carbon Dating you can find on YouTube, and that is a blast. It won't take up much of your time, but they are really, really great little episodes in there. And then Our Father, I wish I could tell you right now where it is in distribution. I'll find out from Linda, Daniel, and I'll let you know. Our Father is a 23-minute short drama, of course, we talked about. It deals with Alzheimer's. And and by the way, real quick before it's over, about Our Father and Alzheimer's, we held a fundraiser for Our Father and Alzheimer's up here in Murphy's, and we had the cast come up and all of us and the crew. And between that and a family contribution, we raised over $37,000 for Alzheimer's. So we were really pleased with that. And I'll try to get you that info of where Our Father is right now. But anyway, those are the three projects right now that you can check out.
Cool.
And you can definitely go to ourfather.com, the webpage for that.
Cool. And if you can send me the links to those, and I'll
Yes.
post them on the Facebook page. And I see the Our Father poster behind you on
Yes,
screen.
there it is. Yeah, you can see. Can you see the awards on it? I gotta show you. We're pretty proud of this.
That's pretty cool. Wow, that's a lot. That's really good. Well, my mom is going through Alzheimer's, so
I lost 2 people in my life to it. So, yeah, that is a very, excuse me, turning my back to you. That is another very, close subject to all of us, actually. Pretty much all of us that have been involved in that film have been touched by Alzheimer's. So that was pretty important.
that's pretty awesome. All right, well, we're coming down to the end. Don't go yet, Ray. I need one more second. For everybody listening, I hope you can go visit the Indiegogo page. Check it out. Donate. This is like a really great project. I'm definitely throwing it in my resume and my reel. Maybe I can just be in the background there. But all of you listening, this project is in pre-production. Ray Davis is one of the producers. Make sure you go check it out. Let me get my computer shut down. Where are you? The movie is called, Turnover. And do you have an idea of when production will start or any?
We hope to get going in February or March of 2018.
Oh, okay, great. So we'll look for it sometime next year. But if you can go to the Indiegogo page, donate. There's always perks on those donation sites. So go check it out. It'll be on the Facebook page. Thank you, Ray, for being on the show. I really appreciate it for you getting up early and joining me this morning. For everybody listening, I want to thank you for being with us today. Thank you to my producer, Mr. Kevin Moyers. Remember, go check us out at abnormalentertainment.com, where you can find my show and all the other shows. Visit me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Lil Mexican, LILMASICAN. Or if you want to be on the show, you can find me there or send me a private email at danielggarza@hotmail.com. DanielGgarza@hotmail.com. Put podcast on the subject so I know what it's for. And just let me know that you want to come on the show and talk, and I'll have you. For now, and for Ray Davis, this is Daniel Garza saying, hey, put it together.
Subscribe to Put It Together on iTunes, Stitcher, and at abnormalentertainment.com/putittogether. Find Put It Together on Facebook and tweet Daniel at Lil Messican, LILMESICAN. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.